Well, I got a little red wine again tonight, keeping it classy. This is sort of red wine hour. Like I've eaten my dinner. I got a nice full tummy. I got a nice glass of the red wine. With quarantine going on and just being stuck at home.
What?
And,
quarantine?
I know, right. And just, drinking every day all the time.
My fantasy.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. I've been taking advantage of, you buy 6 bottles of wine at the grocery store and you get the discount. And so,
the lush discount.
Yeah. And I would like to say that lasted longer than a week, but who am I kidding? So we've had some very nice wines around the house.
That's good.
Yeah.
Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that breaks down the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And today we're talking minute 81 of Predator. Minute 81, in sports terms, you could find a plethora of Hall of Famers and a couple of non-Hall of Famers. You have your people like T.O., Terrell Owens. Tim Brown, Carl Eller, Art Monk, Jackie Smith, Calvin Johnson, Megatron, who's not a Hall of Famer. Yeah, but maybe one day he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Doug Atkins, and then a cool name, who I don't think is in the Hall of Fame, Night Train Lane.
Ooh, who's Night Train Lane?
I don't know. It sounds like... Sounds like
a great name.
Yes. Sounds like the coolest football name you could ever have.
He once said, Jerry, there's never been a good tackle ever in the history of the league below the eyebrows.
I perfected my own way of tackling people. Just when they've been over to bowl me over, I would rip them and stop them right in their tracks.
That's like he should star in a 70s blaxploitation film starring Night Train Lane
and Richard Roundtree.
Right. Co-starring Pam Grier.
His name is Richard Lane, so he's actually Dick Night Train Lane.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. A D-back.
Just got better.
Back. Yeah, exactly. What are you going to go by? You're going to go by Night Train, or are you going to go by Dick?
I'd make everyone say all 4 names every time. Dick Night Train Lane. Every time.
So many touchdowns. And then last, but not in the Hall of Fame, is Mac Alston.
Mac. Well done finding a Mac.
Wouldn't it be fun to call touchdowns scored by players named Mac and Dylan? Touchdown, Mac!
Touchdown, Indianapolis! Marlon Mack's 4th rushing touchdown of the year.
Yes.
Dylan
with 6 points.
It'll be Hopkins, calls his own number, goes to the outside. End zone, touchdown, Dylan Hopkins.
Minute 81 of Predator opens with the Predator looking at something in Predator vision, and minute 81 ends with a handheld bird's eye view shot of Dutch making his way from the shore to what can only be a giant log.
The log?
Maybe the log. My theory is that's the log.
Might be. So carrying over from last minute,
please.
We have the true epiphany here, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this last minute. We didn't beat around the bush, and we kind of got into what Dutch has discovered. But here we really see him have that epiphany, right? He actually verbalizes what we have all just witnessed.
He's finally realizing, right, what, like you were saying, what we witnessed, but maybe didn't understand until he says it and does some wiping and looking. But yeah, go ahead and take us from the top.
Sure. God, he is so muddy here. I'm just looking at the video. Like he's just his hair is just caked in it. Like it's almost disconcerting how muddy his hair is. All right, so we're gonna break this into 2 parts. However, the first part is going to be almost this entire minute, the first 52 seconds or so. We of course carryover from last minute. We see the Predator vision, something small and presumably warm because we can see the red and the orange glow. The Predator POV shot shows a zoom in on the object as well as the 3 lines coming together to target the object inside, and then a little white triangle. We cut back to normal view of the Predator's helmet as a triple laser sight beams down towards the target. Cut back to Dutch, still observing from the roots. Cut to a profile shot of the Predator who's looking downward and aiming his laser lights. His shoulder plasma caster kind of raises up, and we get a nice shot of that. Aims towards the laser sights and fires a blast, showering Dutch with sparks. However, Dutch is not hit. The Predator kicks a log, and something runs away squealing. Some sort of rat or mole or something runs away from the Predator. The Predator kind of gurgles and clicks and looks around. His cannon sort of aiming wherever he looks. That's a cool effect we'll talk about. Dutch then exhales as he watches the Predator slowly walk off, kind of bouncing down these rocks. He wipes some mud off of himself, looks at the Predator, and then says, "He couldn't see me."
He couldn't see me.
The scene fades away. Whew. That was a lot there. In those 52 seconds.
Yeah, most of that takes place in like the first 15 seconds of this minute too.
That's true.
When he is in Predator vision, it's cutting back to Dutch watching him. He fires the laser and kicks the log. That's all in, that first 14, 15 seconds.
Yeah. So right here at the beginning of the minute, we get a really cool special effects sequence, right? And we get some different types of special effects. We're in Predator vision, which itself is a special effect. And then in Predator vision, we get the 3 lines zooming in from the outside of the screen to make the white triangle. And we cut back to the Predator and we get a real look at his laser. And it's like coming out right above his eyeball on his helmet skull.
Yeah.
And this is a really cool little special effects sequence that I think, once again, like really holds up.
Yeah, it totally holds up. It's such an awesome contrast to the environment and to the Predator itself. It's playing into the red lasers themselves are playing into that color theme we talked about a long time ago about things being green and red as your color motifs or your reoccurring colors in the movie. We see a little bit of green here in this scene, but that red is really playing up to that idea of like power, anger, blood.
Yeah. And when we get that shot of the 3 dots on his helmet and the lasers coming out, like that shit looks real. Like that looks really good. And then we cut back to Dutch real quick and back to the Predator, and we see the lasers in a profile coming out of his head. And then we also get this cool shot of we see now that his cannon is sort of mounted to his shoulder. And we see that little cannon shift to the Predator's right, I guess it is. And we see it fire, and we get a really cool shot of the blue sort of laser flying out of it. And once again, like just a really cool sequence of special effects that holds up and looks really great.
Yeah, I think part of what stands out to me looking at this effect, the shot facing him when you first see the 3 lasers pop out of his helmet, to me, those look like real lasers. And then a couple seconds later, you see the profile view. To me, the profile view, I think those are drawn in lasers. They look a little bit more, I don't know, drawn in is the best way I can say it.
I agree. I think that's an after effect. And I think you're right.
Yeah, kind of shaky. But I do like that effect. And you mentioned the shoulder cannon. The shoulder cannon is just wonderful. If you watch behind the scenes footage after the team has been working on this, it's really neat to see Kevin Peter Hall without the mask on, but the rest of the costume on and the shoulder cannon. He's like practicing looking around, and it's looking where he's looking. I don't remember the explanation of this, unfortunately, in the behind the scenes. I'll have to watch that for later on cannon shots. But I really like how it just looks everywhere he's looking, which makes you probably really wary as a Predator not to look too far to your right and fire, because then it might take your head off, a la one of the characters in the new Predator movie, The Predator.
Yeah, man, I'll be honest, this is something I had never noticed before until now watching it minute by minute with you. It's such a cool like detail, and it goes by so quickly. Like you see a little bit in that first laser cannon shot, like you see the laser move, but it's not apparent right away that it's moving because the Predator's head is moving.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple seconds later, you cut back to him and you see him looking around the jungle, and he's looking down and the cannon is down, and then he looks up and it moves up, and he looks to the right and it moves right. That is just such an awesome little detail that they didn't have to do. It probably took a while to figure out how to do it right. But it's such a cool like part of his costume and his armor and like his weapons he has. I don't know. It's just I was really struck by how neat that was, having not noticed it before.
Yeah, totally. It totally reminds me of a Star Wars effect, how they're all, the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy did a really good job of using so many practical effects, something that's there on the screen, for one. But for two, like also Star Wars-y is the fact that this thing looks used. It doesn't look like some shiny, sleek object. It looks a little bit janky, kind of like pops up a little bit, maybe after a delay, we don't know, and it's kind of creaking over. And if you freeze frame it there before it fires, I mean, the thing looks like it's been beaten up. It's already maybe seen some battles, and it's reflecting some of the Predator's adventures in the jungle so far.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that connection to Star Wars weapons, but they share that trait where like they look like they've been shuttled around the galaxy for a little bit and bartered with and traded, right? And
exactly.
Maybe this is the Predator's third cannon that he's gotten from, Cannon Bob over in Sector G.
Cannon Bob Predator.
Yeah. Sector EC, selling those shoulder cannons at a discounted price.
Exactly. Maybe haggling down a little bit, like, well, I don't know, you take 400.
Yeah, maybe there's like a shoulder cannon store. It's like furniture stores that are always closing and on clearance.
Right. I got someone else, I don't know, looking at it in the afternoon. I don't know.
I don't know. Should probably buy it now.
No, it's a great looking piece of equipment for all those reasons. And the fact that it's just like it's connected to the Predator. It has like a very obvious wire coming from the back to, connect it to the targeting system. I love it because it's as advanced as it is. It's like you can see the wires, you can see the handheld parts, you can see the little doohickeys, the little knobs he has to probably tighten or loosen depending on how well it's working.
You're right. They make it's futuristic, but it's also realistic, right? Like it's not so far futuristic that it feels like magic. It just feels like a mechanical thing that they figured out how to do.
Right.
Yeah. It's cool. It's really cool.
So, I mean, it's almost like a little tiny little robot on his shoulder. It's kind of cute. But then you have to remember, like, oh yeah, he's killing some of the heroes of this movie. Boo, Predator.
Oh, Predator. So then we get the shoulder wipe, right? Dutch wipes the shoulder and looks at the mud and has his epiphany. And we get our only line of dialogue this minute.
He couldn't see me.
Hey, a dialogue minute.
Dialogue minute. This is the first line spoken since 4 minutes ago when he said, "Get to the chopper," and then
Get to the chopper!
He got to a waterfall, and then he got to some mud. But yeah, now he says, "He couldn't see me."
He couldn't see me.
He couldn't see me.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
He couldn't see me.
He couldn't see me.
Couldn't see me. And do you think that line is necessary to tell us, the audience? What do you think?
No, I've always I've gone back and forth on this. Like, I think they could have not had any dialogue there. I think it's clear what's happening here, especially by having him wipe the mud with his fingers and look at it. I think they could have just had him done that and look back towards the Predator and the sequence of events that just transpired. I think that makes it pretty clear as to what's going on. But, it's fine having it in there. It doesn't like take you out of the movie in any way, but I don't know if it's really necessary. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I think it's a good, what's that word it's a good compromise between McTiernan and the original script. The original script had him saying a lot to himself and the Predator, who's definitely out of earshot by the time he starts yelling at him. He says he sees differently from us. And then he says, "You couldn't see me through the mud, you bastard. You were looking at me and you couldn't see me right there in front of you. And you couldn't see me." He's just yelling, out towards maybe where the Predator is, or, the Predator is far away at this point. But he's just like totally trash talking. Maybe in the script, they're seeing it as a good way for him to decompress a little bit from all this stress and all this tension. It's just him screaming trash talk at the Predator.
Yeah. See, I think they did I think that was a good choice to dial it way back. My 8th grade English teacher always told me, show the audience or show the reader. Don't tell them. Just show them. And you'll have a better story, and it will force you to write more descriptively. And I think this is an example of that. So thanks, 8th grade English teacher.
Yeah. I love those kind of challenges. Like, you can do no more than this page or this half a page. Yeah. Right, it's right. For one, it gives you less to grade as a teacher. So that's always nice.
Always nice.
And two, like you're saying, it really just forces that creativity. If you really want to challenge them, here's like a 6-word story. Tell me a story in 6 words. And they're like, but then they catch on and they do some good work and really, paint a little bit of a picture of a story. Those 6 words.
Yeah. So just show that he's muddy and invisible.
He is muddy. John McCommentary is chiming in here with his talking more about Arnold loving the physical difficulties, even though this must have been no fun for Arnold. He said the mud is continually evaporating, so it made Arnold colder. And so he's chilled while they're filming this for, an hour, 6 hours, however many hours a day. He's kind of going back and forth on his story, because before he was saying that they're only filming these scenes at dusk, and dusk is only going to last so long. So I imagine maybe 2 hours a day is, like, in my mind, like what they're doing. For one, they would shoot Arnold with like this mud hose just continually, between the takes, so that he was just covered in the mud.
Image to me.
Hilarious. The crew said it was like stuccoing a house.
Right, or like installing the insulation with the blower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't imagine. Well, what a treat though to be spraying Arnold down with mud. How fun!
There's an old Simpsons episode where I can't remember the context of this, but Homer is like an Egyptian pharaoh, and he's like, he has all these beautiful women bringing him grapes and fruit, and he's like, "Bring me my ranch hose."
Enough! I grow weary of your sexually suggestive dancing. Bring me my ranch dressing hose!
They pull up a big hose like a fireman's hose and pull the thing back and just start spraying ranch into his mouth.
Oh, man. Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the dream. McTiernan also talks about Kevin Peter Hall in the costume being so unable to move that athletically that McTiernan had to develop this bungee rig to help pull Kevin Peter along when he's running or when he's trying to move quickly. You don't see any evidence here as he's moving away, other than he seems awfully light on his feet for knowing that this is a 200-pound costume on top of probably a close to 200-pound man who's 7 feet tall. But you don't notice any kind of weird special effect other than like the bounciness in my mind kind of makes it almost dreamlike, or like a nod to this being an extraterrestrial creature.
Right. I didn't know that until you told me that was the case, that they had to rig up a little bungee system. And it makes sense because when you watch it, he's just sort of like, it's not obvious, but you're right. He's light on his feet, or just kind of bouncy as he sort of bounds down these rocks away from Arnold. But you're right. It gives the Predator just kind of this otherworldly feel, like he's just nimble and can move around really easily despite all of this gear that he's wearing. which makes him all the more terrifying if you are Arnold, right? I do think that they are kind of, what do you think here? It seems like the video is slightly slowed down here as he bounds down those rocks.
I think so. I think it's slightly slowed down. Yeah. Maybe it's to give us a better view. Maybe it's to, I don't know, give him more emphasis as he's running away, make it more dramatic. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, make it a little dreamlike.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Arnold just sat there and got away with it. But yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one to notice that. It just feels a little, not quite like slow motion, but just like it's slightly slowed down a little bit.
It's kind of, and I put this in my notes, it definitely reminds me, not when he's standing there and shooting his laser into things, but when he's moving around, walking or running later on, or swinging his arms around. The Predator definitely gives me some Big Bird kind of vibes, or like the creature from Big Trouble in Little China, like these full human size Muppets or puppets, which I think he must have been an inspiration for like Ninja Turtles later on and other things like that. Really, when he's running or jumping.
You talking in Big Trouble? Are you talking about like kind of the werewolfish looking monster?
Yeah, the one that kidnaps Kim Cattrall in the middle of the movie or later on in the movie, and also jumps up in the back of Jack Burton's big rig with like the final line before credits.
I can take it.
Yes. Oh man, it's been a long time since I've watched BT and the LC.
BT and the LC is top-notch entertainment.
It's so good. It's that's some great Carpenter right there. I got to give that a rewatch. It's been at least 5 or 6 years.
We can Netflix party that one.
Oh, dude, is it on Netflix?
Last time I watched it, it was. So it might be a good idea to hop on that.
Totally freaking Netflix party that one. I'd have some friends who would be into that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's our new job, is to figure out if it's on Netflix. And if it's not, we need to make them put it on there so we can have a Netflix party.
Yeah. I don't see it currently on there, which is a bummer, but I know I've watched it on there.
I feel like I did too, like back in a while back it was on Netflix. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, Netflix, get on it. You heard it here first on the Predator Minute podcast. Bring it back.
Yeah, Netflix, I know you're listening.
You're listening. Bring it back.
Back.
Mac.
Some good suspenseful music here in this first part as the Predator is looking around with the laser.
For sure.
And then firing the laser. The suspenseful music eventually ends when the Predator's body language tells you that he's given up on trying to find Dutch right here and just leaves. But up until then, it's this good, like, either sustained horns or strings. I don't really know. I'm not a musician. But it really reminds me of like Hans Zimmer's scores, like in Dark Knight. I believe he did the score for Dunkirk. Does that sound right?
Hans Zimmer?
Yeah. He does all the Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We could probably easily look this up, but I'm just going to say you're correct.
I'm going to look it up just to be on the right side of things and not just always guess, which, that's not bad either. 2017 music by Hans Zimmer. I think I never watched that movie, but everything I hear tells me that the score played such a huge role in the viewing experience with these tense, really long, drawn out moments where the music is just heightening the experience with it never relieves or it never breaks that tension.
Yeah, Dunkirk, to me, I've only watched it once. It's a very good film. It'll probably be a while before I revisit it because it's kind of like, to me, it was a lot like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where there's a lot of really long shots and the music is really important. And to appreciate the film, you really have to like sit back, settle in, turn off all the lights, turn up the sound, and just sort of let the film kind of envelop you. And in that respect, it's really great, but you can't just sort of casually put it on, It has to be a bit of an event.
Yeah, so it's neat to hear, Hans Zimmer contemporary here and Alan Silvestri trying out similar methods, and I don't know that Hans Zimmer was necessarily doing these kind of long sustained notes or pieces of the score during movies in the 80s.
Yeah, well, we're going to get a lot of minutes here as we move forward where the score is going to kind of carry the mood for us, right? Because there's not a whole lot of dialogue here, and so we're just going to have the score kind of helping us along as we watch Arnold and the Predator circle each other for a bit.
We'll see if the score can keep up with the brawny, gritty wit of Dutch and the relentless hunter that he's facing off against. We'll see if it keeps performing as it's performed all movie. I hope so. I predict so. But this last thing I'll talk about with this section is that this is in the TV tropes what is known as the Eureka Moment, when he realizes that the Predator cannot see him because he's covered in mud. This is the moment in which all complex problems are solved by a sudden epiphany. Realization, moment, we call that in literature.
Yeah. So, and we touched on this last week, but this is the actual moment that he and confirms it with the audience that he is disguised by the mud.
He couldn't see me.
Yeah, I threw out some other examples, and feel free to jump in with any feedback or other examples that you can think of.
No, this is a good list.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a wide variety of films here.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the TV trope for Eureka Moment, and it is page after page of examples from all different medium.
Right. I mean, it's a pretty common vehicle to use in a film, right? Or a device, I should say, not vehicle, but a common device to use in a film.
And it's usually some kind of turning point because the main character or someone else realizing something is sometimes, and hopefully that's the case with this movie and other movies when you see it, but it's, I think, most enjoyable for the audience when they're realizing something, when the person is realizing it too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the character is realizing something that we already know, and that's not that exciting. But when we're realizing this, watching this for the first time, that he is invisible because of the mud, it's a really fun discovery, and it really opens up your mind to think about, okay, well, if he's invisible, then this is going to lead to, later confrontations, maybe more in his advantage, or at least giving him a chance during the later confrontations.
At the very least, kind of levels the playing field a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are some of the other examples that you came up with here or found on the TV tropes?
From this movie alone, earlier in the movie, Dylan.
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Dylan has the line saying they did the same thing to Jim Hopper when they're when they're realizing that the Predator did something to Hawkins very reminiscent to what they found with Hopper. Even though they never found Hawkins' body, they know that whatever killed Hopper and his men also just left the equipment and took the body or did something with the body.
Hopper? What? They did the same thing to Jim Hopper.
Just bodies.
Just bodies.
Just bodies.
Also, Dutch earlier in the movie, not too long ago, has a Eureka moment when Billy answers he's killing us off one by one. Billy says, like a hunter. And Dutch has this total Spielbergian face as he has a Eureka moment that they're being hunted.
He's killing us one at a time. Like a hunter.
So jumping outside of this movie, you have the Finkel is Einhorn scene in Ace Ventura. one of the classic, God, what is his name? Jim Carrey. One of the classic Jim Carrey, just physical acting moments.
Yeah.
He burns his clothes. He's plunging his own face. He's gagging himself.
The piece of that movie that has not aged terribly well.
No.
A little hashtag problematic there, but
a little transphobic, a little sexist, a little everythingist.
But that scene there is pretty funny when you realize it.
Yeah,
you can't deny it.
What the? That's it. That's it. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man. Oh my God! Einhorn is a man.
It is done in the classic, like looking at an old picture realization.
Right.
For some reason, that really tickles my fancy, seeing that in a movie. Someone looking at a picture and putting all the pieces together by looking at a picture. I for some reason, that just...
Doesn't the dog's hair kind of flop over? And
right.
It's like, Finkel is Einhorn. And you're like, what?
Einhorn is Finkel. Oh, man. Let's see. Die Hard 2 gives us Bruce Willis realizing that the blanks... Bruce Willis realizes that the guns that were being fired by who he thought was on his side were actually filled with blanks. He, shoots Dennis Franz, or in Dennis Franz's direction, but it's filled with blanks.
And you know what else? You're under arrest, you motherfucker.
This is Chief Lorenzo. I want every officer recalled and assembled in body armor and full weaponry in the motor pool in 5 minutes. It's time to kick ass.
That scene kind of bothered me always because, like, Bruce Willis is just going to be filled with holes right there, right? They're going to shoot back and take him right down. Like, no, it's cool. It's blanks. Dogma has a good scene where, I don't remember who, I think it's Linda Fiorentino. Is that her name? Is that who's in that movie?
Oh, the main character in Dogma?
Yeah, the main character. Right. She hears Jay say something about making a profit, and then she's connecting it to what I think the Metatron told her earlier about the profits.
Now how about that shit? Fuck this town, man. I'm going back to Jersey and starting up the business again. I can kick the shit out of little kids in Red Bank and make myself a profit.
Profits. 2.
You know what I'm saying, Soundbug? Fuck a profit.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's like, you can't be serious. And it's profit versus profit. Have that Eureka moment. Nicholas Angel in Hot Fuzz, figuring out the killer's identity. I'm not going to spoil that, but I had to throw that in there because it's one of my favorite movies.
One of your faves, yeah.
One of my faves. Let's see. David's dad telling him he might catch a cold in Independence Day and then realizing we have to upload a virus to the mothership in Independence Day.
I totally forgot about that.
Get off this freezing concrete floor before you catch a cold. Come on.
What'd you say?
You mean about faith? Well, you see, a man can live his power. I don't want you to catch cold.
That piece of plot until I read this,
yeah. Classic scene.
Classic.
Where was I? Interstellar. You have Matthew McConaughey realizing the connection with Murph that he has. I'm not going to spoil that, but
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, is that another? That's another Hans Zimmer movie. There you go with the long drawn out score. Major League. That's when Rick Vaughn's eyesight problem is detected when he's squinting at, guess what? A picture that the manager's directing him to look at.
I love Major League. Vaughn!
Give him the heater, Ricky.
Give him the heater, Ricky.
Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
So
I would say that a lot as a baseball coach. Basically, give him the heater.
Do you also throw down the contract and pee on it when you don't like it?
Yeah, and rip off the clothes of the manager's picture as we win games.
Yeah. Oh, what you do in Little League, right?
This is junior high, by the way. So all this is on the table. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You have the sad John Candy moment towards the end where Steve Martin is thinking about his line about he hasn't been home in years and years and years.
I've been spending too much time away from home. I've been home for years. I've been home for years. I've been home for years.
Oh, so sad.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to throw the Space Jam in there because, it's Michael Jordan quarantine time. Apparently everybody's watching this Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance.
Are you watching it?
No, because I don't really follow sports that much anymore. It's just not a thing. But have you been watching it?
Yeah, dude, you got to watch it. It's
okay. I'll watch it.
It's really good. Because especially for the age that we are, like when we were in junior high and in the early 90s, like Michael Jordan was king of the world. And I kind of forgot like a lot of the details about sort of his career and the games that they won and the way that things happened. And God, the way this documentary is structured and put together is so damn good. They on this last Sunday, on the day that we're recording, they just released episodes 5 and 6, and I watched them today while I was taking care of the kids. And my God, they're so good. So I'm looking forward to them every week. Like, I know you're a sports fan. You don't have to be an MJ fan. Like, as a sports fan, you will enjoy this documentary series. It's just incredibly well done and fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. All the sneakerheads I follow on YouTube talk about it, and they just have posters up with MJ, and they love Jordan.
It's so good. You just sort of forget how dominating he was. Like, you know, as time goes by, people are like, oh, maybe Kobe was the greatest, the GOAT. You know, maybe LeBron was the GOAT. No, it was Jordan. And like undeniable when you go back and look at what he did. Like, it's crazy. It's fun. It's a fun trip down memory lane, and it's just a really well done story or documentary as well. So highly recommend it. There's an early recommend for everybody.
Ooh, early rec. Look at you. You're not even in the theme music yet. But I brought up Space Jam because there's actually a couple of Eureka moments. I'm only going to mention one. My favorite Eureka moment is when MJ sees Bugs Bunny stretch out Daffy Duck, and he realizes that, they're like in tune rules.
How do you do that?
Oh, anybody could do that, Doc. Even you. Watch this.
No sweat. This is Looney Tune Land.
And so that lets him stretch his arm out to score the winning basket. And so that's something that stood out to me when I was watching Space Jam for the umpteenth time with the kids the other day.
I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I've never seen Space Jam.
How have you never seen Space Jam?
I've never seen Space Jam.
Oh, man, you say you're like, for like the perfect age. We would have been, God, what is that? That's like 96, I think. 97?
I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't know how or why. I've just never seen it. I think when it came out, I was like, I'm not going to watch Space Jam. It's a kid's movie. I'm a teenager. And then as I got older, I was like, why am I going to watch Space Jam now?
Right. I think it's a perfect pairing with The Last Dance.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure they're going to cover it at some point. I'm going to have to watch it just to fill in the gaps.
I would early rec that one too, just as a watch with the kids because it's so short and breezy. I think it's like 80 minutes, maybe.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice kids movie right there. Yeah.
There's some good basketball action, and you have some bad acting, some good bad acting from like Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Muggsy Bogues, Sean Bradley, Larry Johnson, Grandmama, and Patrick Ewing.
Of course. Where were we? Have we not talked about the last 7 seconds of this minute yet?
No, we're finishing talking about Eureka moments. Could you think of any Eureka moments that popped into your brain?
I'm sure I could come up with a good list. Thinking about Arnold movies, Total Recall has a Eureka moment kind of when he first turns on the video and sees a video of himself talking to himself. That's a good Eureka moment. That's when you and him, you in the audience and Arnold in the movie realize that something crazy is going on where a former version of himself is now guiding himself through the movie. And that's kind of a turning point in the film. So I think that's a good Eureka moment.
Oh, that's a good line too. He's like, I am you. He goes, no shit.
No shit.
Now, whatever your name is, get ready for the big surprise. You are not you. You're me. No shit.
It's a great line delivery.
Shit.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, may the 4th be with you.
Oh, may the 4th be with you, my friend. I have not watched a Star Wars movie today. I've dropped the ball.
Well, there's still time. It's still...
That's true. I'll put it. I'll extend the May the 4th through the week. Maybe I'll throw a couple on during this week.
All right, you're on.
Yeah.
So you want to take us from the second top with the last 7 seconds?
Yeah, this is a quick 7 seconds here, but we quickly, let's see, we fade into a kind of a bird's eye view shot of Dutch, who's walking across a log away from the river shore, and that is the end of the minute. That's it.
Good use of the fade here. We don't have a lot of fades in this movie as it fades from Dutch Eureka-ing to Dutch now kind of walking, I think, towards the big concrete log we've already seen with Billy on it with a matte painting under it.
Yeah,
we're
that's got to be the log.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
It's a well-done log. If that's artificial log, just hats off to the production crew.
Right? Yeah, it's
looks
a good log.
Gnarly, looks fallen, dead with like the parasite branches growing off of it.
But that brings the minute to a close. I don't have a whole lot else to say about the log, but
I think the log will have more time to shine as we move through the mostly dialogue-free portion of this movie.
Yeah. Well, have we done it? Have we done this minute justice? The question I always ask.
Yeah, let me see real fast. Yeah, that's it. So,
did you just enhance?
Enhance. Just print the goddamn page. So, what do you have to recommend for the listeners this week, Jeff?
Oh man,
I know.
I know I'm way behind on this, but I just saw the Lego movie for the first time. And holy shit, the Lego movie is funny as hell. It is seriously so good and so funny, and my kids love it. And so I'm just going to throw that out as a little preliminary recommend. Like, if you got kids, or even not, watch the Lego movie. That shit is funny. Yeah, I'd never seen it. I will also recommend another oldie but a goodie, but I watched, because it popped up on Amazon Prime in ultra high definition, the movie District 9. Have you ever seen District 9?
I did. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, District 9 is one that I've seen a couple times, and it's always stuck out in my mind as being a really fun one. So I rewatched it just last night. And yeah, it holds up. I mean, it's only about 10 years old, but if you've never seen District 9, it's kind of a sci-fi action movie, and it's about an alien spaceship arrives on the planet Earth and is hovering over Johannesburg, the city of Johannesburg, and is just chilling there. And eventually the alien species that's inside the spaceship come out, and it sort of turns into a sort of refugee camp situation where the aliens are kind of living inside these fenced walls in decrepit situations, and a lot of interesting parallels can be made in socio-political sense to the alien race that's sort of encamped in this area. And we follow a character who's working for kind of a giant evil corporation whose job it is to move the refugee camp of aliens to a different position. This all sounds really crazy as I'm saying it out loud. But when you watch the film, it's done so well, and the special effects are really cool. It's a movie I come back to every couple of years. So check out District 9. It was directed by Neil Blomkamp, who has a history of making sort of high concept films that unfortunately have not always been great. He also made Chappie and Elysium, which were interesting movies but kind of flawed. And I think of all of the films he has done, District 9 is by far the best, where like his concept really kind of landed well. So yeah, there it is, District 9. Check it out again if you must. It was really fun to watch.
All right.
Yeah. So there we go.
All right.
That's me rambling on about District 9.
Yeah, no, did a good job summing it up. That's much better than I can do.
It does sound crazy when you start explaining it.
Yeah. Just, yeah, it is a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, what do you got for us this week, John? More shoes?
Yeah, I've definitely ordered more shoes, but that's not...
That's besides the point.
Mostly Ultra Boost, but that's to be expected. It's kind of my coping mechanism these days.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
It's like how I buy 6 bottles of wine a week.
Right. Some people don't skip wine day, and some people buy shoes. But
I never skip wine day, John.
I love that. That's a great video or GIF or whatever where she's doing curls, and I'm like, why are you posting workout videos? It's so unlike you. Oh, right. I see. There's a giant bottle of booze at the end. Like, what a reward.
Exercise.
I don't exercise.
I don't know if I've recommended this in the past, but I'm going to, if I did, re-recommend the Star Wars series Clone Wars.
Oh, I believe you did, but do it again.
Yeah, I know I've recommended Rebels because it has an awesome through-line story that carries from one episode to the next.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
It might be. I don't know. It's all animated Star Wars, so may the 4th be with you. This is part of why I'm recommending it. But I picked up Clone Wars after a long hiatus of not watching episodes for a couple months, and I'm really glad I did because I think I'm at season 4. Yeah, I'm in season 4 out of 7. They just finished, I think, the last season, the 7th season, over the weekend, I believe. So I'm trying to catch up to watch that and to listen to Blast Points break down the different episodes of season 7. But what I noticed them start doing a lot better in season 4 is now they're doing a lot better at creating these bigger story arcs where they're like 4 episodes, 5 episodes of telling one singular Clone Wars story. And sometimes the Jedi are involved, but honestly, some of the best storylines are the ones where the Jedi aren't involved. I tend to like more the war portion of Star Wars and less like the mystical Jedi and versus Sith kind of battles. And Clone Wars really, really satiates me there. It really shows an appreciation for like the terribleness of war and how much like soldiers depend on each other, and they need to have good leadership to lead them to victory. I'm saying these kinds of things because one, like the best little mini arc I saw was at the beginning of season 4. Towards the beginning of season 4, it starts on the episode Darkness on Umbara, and it ends with the Carnage of Krell. So that's a 4 episode arc where the clone troopers led by this 4-armed Jedi are trying to take down these forces, these native forces on this planet, but they're being led by this, I don't know, this terrible person of a general, or terrible creature, whatever, terrible personality of a general. And you're just like, it's because you don't have like the main characters, it builds that tension a lot better, in my opinion, because you don't know what's going to happen to the characters. I just felt myself really like rooting for certain clones, even though they all look the same and sound the same. They have, slightly different personalities and different characteristics. And yeah, high recommend for at least season 4 of Clone Wars.
There you go. May the 4th be with you.
Hey, always. May the 4th be with you.
Nice. All right. Well, did we do it?
I think we did it for recommends and breaking down the minutes. So, Jeff, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Twitter sphere. I am Carl_Hungus314. Jeff Glover, come follow me there.
My name is Carl Ishbin Expert.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll follow you again. I'll unfollow, follow, unfollow, follow. It'll just
over and over
keep
again.
Going. Over and over. You'll receive lots of notifications. You can stop now. You can find Predator Minute at Predator Minute on Twitter. You can email the show, predatorminute@gmail.com, and you can join that ever-growing, always welcoming group on Facebook, the Predator Minute Listeners Palapa.
Target the center of the Palapa.
Target the center of the Palapa.
Target the center of the Palapa.
Thanks, Ghost of Dylan.
Dylan.
So for all things Predator Minute 81, I've been John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover.
And until next time,
stick around.
Stick around.
Stick around.
Can't see me. He couldn't see me.
I can see me, but he can't see me.
He can't see me.
I'm not invisible, am I? Oh my God, I'm invisible.
It's an existential crisis.
Am I alive? Oh, much different movie if he just goes down the rabbit hole of not knowing if he's alive or a ghost.
Yeah, or at the end, he just wakes up.